In this sixth Fred tutorial, we focus on searching and finding data. We identify 4 different methods. Method 1 is to use categories of data. Method 2 is to focus on data releases. Method 3 is to focus on the sources of data. And finally, Method 4 involves using keywords in the Fred search box at the top right. Let's start by using the categories approach. There are a wide variety of categories of data in Fred. Commonly used ones include money, banking, and finance, the national accounts data, data on employment and labor markets, data on industrial production, and data on prices, including consumer and producer prices. In the parentheses next to each label, notice a number which tells you the number of series currently being provided in Fred. Over 15,000 series in the national accounts data. Let's look at the national accounts. Notice that there are 4 subcategories in this area: federal government debt, flow of funds, U.S. trade, and national income and product accounts. Let's look at the NIPA subcategory. Notice there are, again, in this case, 12 subcategories of NIPA. Let's narrow this by looking at GDP. And now you're presented with a long list of measures of GDP sorted by popularity. Notice those blue bars next to every indicator. A very long list of blue bars indicates that this is frequently used data. The first measure is the one we've used most often, real gross domestic product for the United States, otherwise known as GDP-C1. The second one, also commonly used, nominal gross domestic product, or just GDP. Notice for each indicator, Fred provides the dates for which it's available and when it was most recently updated, in this case, December 23rd. It describes the data, its frequency, and its form of seasonal adjustment, if there is any, and it provides you a variety of keywords that are ways of finding this data: seasonally adjusted, quarterly, Bureau of Economic Analysis, which is the source of the data, NIPA, the National Income and Product Accounts, GDP, and in this case, real. All of these keywords would help guide you to real GDP or GDP-C1. Let's get familiar using Fred's categories method for searching. We're going to look for data on prices, in particular the Consumer Price Index and the Price Index for Personal Consumption Expenditures. Notice before we looked at National Income and Product Accounts data, which was a subcategory of national accounts. Now we're going to skip the prices headline and go directly to the subcategory for consumer price indexes, CPI and PCE. Notice this category has 10 subcategories itself, and you can look at very detailed measures of prices for food and beverages, housing, apparel, or many other categories. Each of them show the number of indicators available in the parenthesis. Now we'll try finding data using data releases in Fred. This is a useful tool when you're looking for data that are all from the same original release. Say the American Community Survey. Notice there are 198 different data releases that appear in Fred. They're listed here alphabetically. Next to each data release shows in parenthesis the number of indicators associated with it. This is a very long list. We're going to look at money stock measures because that's a pretty useful way of organizing the data and finding all of the components. They're all from the H6 release of the Federal Reserve Board. Right at the top, you'll see H6 money stock measures, and they're sorted right now by popularity. If you wished, you could change the sort and have them sorted by frequency or by title, which would make them alphabetical. It's useful to look at releases when you're looking for a variety of components of that release.
Notice also the release table section. Here you can click through to see the original money stock releases from the Federal Reserve.
Let's turn now to using sources as a means of finding data in FRED. Sources refer to the providers of the data. Note that there are currently over 76 organizations providing data to FRED. They're organized on this page alphabetically. Next to each provider is the number of indicators that they provide to FRED. So the Federal Reserve Board offers over 7,000 indicators to FRED. Using sources as a means of searching can be useful when the source provides only a few or small number of indicators. The example we're going to use is from the Institute for Supply Management, ISM, which is a provider of a very important leading indicator, a survey of purchasing managers and their activities across the country. They provide both manufacturing and non-manufacturing data. In each case, there are 11 indicators, an overall measure, and 10 subcomponents. Since they're ranked by popularity, once again, not surprisingly, the headline measure is the first one in the list, the ISM Manufacturing PMI, Purchasing Managers Index, Composite Index. Below it appear all the subcategories that enter into the calculation of the headline index. This is a very important leading indicator in the economy. Now we'll try finding data in FRED using the search box at the top right of the page. In this case, we're going to look again for price data, in particular consumer prices. Notice as soon as I start typing, FRED provides a list of indicators that fit that description. And in fact, you can see that there's actually a scroll bar on the right-hand side, and I could scroll down and look at the long list of indicators that FRED finds consistent with the keywords consumer price. Another way to see all these indicators is just to hit return after typing in consumer price, and FRED will list them. Notice 17,000 indicators currently in FRED are associated with the words consumer price. They're listed here in order of popularity. I can also use tags to narrow the search. FRED provides these tags or keywords, and next to each one of them is the number of indicators that are associated with it. It wouldn't help much to choose CPI because there are still almost 14,000 indicators associated with it. So this first set of keywords is probably not too helpful in the search. BLS is the provider of the data, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But we can use the keywords to find, let's say, a narrower list. Let's scroll all the way down until we find something we really want to look at. Here's a good example. Suppose that I want to look at consumer prices in Germany. If I click on the Germany tab, I will be given a list of 257 indicators which relate to consumer prices in Germany. As you can see, the first series is from the OECD, and the second one comes from Eurostat. Thanks very much for watching.